Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Sanderlanche podcast. Today, we are discussing Words of Radiance, chapter 33 through chapter 35, which, because of the 4 interludes, is way more chapters than it sounds like. In these chapters, we resolve for some values of the word resolve, the conflict between Seth and Kaladin, and then we also resolve our crew's long-standing issues with a certain mentor figure that Shallan has latched onto. I don't think we're going to need to worry about her anymore.
Yay!
Eshonai transforms into storm form.
Transform!
Kaladin asks the Hell for help, which is honestly, that's that whole chapter, basically. I just told you. It's fine.
Yeah, you don't have to read it.
Taln shows up on the Shattered Plains and meets Elhokar and Dalinar. And then we see the results of Eshonai's transformation. Not great. And then we have we start out part 3 with just a nice little day in the life. Adolin and Navani going about their regular business. So I'm Data, and with me today is
Jamie,
Dak, and Joe.
So hang on to something, everybody. The Sanderlanche is about to begin. So yeah, I guess you guys are probably glad that we didn't we talked about the possibility last time that we might just not come back to Kaladin and find the end of that. I don't know that anyone seriously believed that would happen, but I'm sure everyone is glad we saw the end of that interaction. What did you guys think of these 7 chapters?
Yeah, so I'm glad we got that straight away. It made sense to do it there, but you never know how these things are really going to go, unfortunately. So, but no, that was good. I think it I can't see it really going a different way, but I think there's certainly a good amount of intrigue there to see what comes out of that. And what I'm really keen for Seth's next viewpoint, because it sounds like his world is just kind of shattered. So that will be quite interesting. My main interest really lied with our second chapter. Oh, I'm glad she's gone. I really didn't like her. I didn't trust her. I have questions for Shallan. There's a lot going on there that I don't think we knew about. Otherwise, I've been living under a rock, which is entirely possible. But yeah, that as we were getting into the span read and seeing what was coming back and forward, I was like, there is no way this is going to be a good thing for Shallan to see. Like, something is going to happen here, and it's probably good that Shallan was there to have it all happen in real time for her, because you don't want Tin to come up with a plan of how she was going to deal with something.
Oh, true.
So I think it probably went as well as it could have for Shallan. But yeah, we spent so much time thinking about what was going to happen when they got to the Shattered Plains and how this relationship was going to play out. Well played, Data. But I'm kind of glad we don't have to do that anymore, because I was really over her. And honestly, the characters that I really am like, I don't really like you, they end up hanging around. You're like, I still don't like you, but it's okay. But finally, the instinct was right. One of them was rotten.
We couldn't get rid of Alrion, but we got rid of Tin, so. Yeah,
I'll take it.
I mean, we tried getting rid of Alrion, but then she just came straight back.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, but that's okay. Tin's gone. Hooray, the witch is dead. Anyway, the stuff with Eshonai was quite interesting. I liked seeing that transformation process, but then kind of see, like, it transforms them physically, but it appears to do some stuff in addition to that. So that's kind of interesting to see what that does. And I wonder how that's now going to affect meetings with Dalinar and all that sort of stuff. That'd be really interesting. The remaining interludes that we had, like, yeah, okay, they're there. It was nice to see the other interludes. It was good to see some of our regular characters show up, and I don't let's say they've been pretty isolated before. Like, you've kind of got that one character who keeps showing up. So the first book we had Seth, and now you've got Eshonai. And while class was a regular character, they were very separate to the story. Now to see Kaladin's turned up in one, and then have Elhokar and Dalinar turn up in the other one. It's like, oh, okay, this is all kind of playing out at the same time as well. So that was cool. I look forward to them kind of all blending together, because sometimes you're like, I don't know who these people are and even relate to the story, but that was kind of what I got out of those. And Navani's chapter, we're really starting a new part. There's not a huge amount in there that I really pulled out that I can remember anyway that was of interest. I like seeing her work. That was a bit of fun, and I like the science-y behind the magic from Brandon there. That was cool to get as well. But yeah, overall good chapters, and yeah, Tin's gone. Woohoo!
Yep, I knew you guys would be happy about that bit. And I also like how you put it, where you're like, something's going on with Shallan, and I guess we'll talk about that more when we get there. But yeah, there's some stuff going on there, huh?
Yeah, she's just full of mysteries and surprises, isn't she?
No joke.
Ugh. Yeah, wow, big stuff happening. Big stuff. This section. Yeah, I like my poor I seem to have the weird affinity for the characters who are the recurring viewpoint characters for interludes, for Seth and then Eshonai. Like, they're among my top characters for this series so far, and both of them had a really rough trot this go round.
Yep.
Yeah, poor Seth, poor Eshonai, whatever the fuck's happening with her, because it seems like we sort of knew that the transformations had some degree of mental limitations, given dull form and mate form and everything seemed to change their mindsets completely on things. Mm-hmm. But this seems far beyond that. The red lights and red eyes and everything's like, ugh. And the conversation she had with the Stormfather, or the Rider, as they call him, like, okay, I have questions about this guy now, because we kind of always just assumed that was one of the shards, but now it's like, oh, he's actually just a super powerful spren. I'm like, I don't know who to believe anymore. So yes, I have questions there, but Eshonai she just wanted to do the right thing. I feel awful for her. And Seth as well.
Trying to help her people.
Yeah. And Seth's world has, as Jamie said, his entire worldview has just fallen apart, and he's having a massive crisis. So, considering how dangerous of a person he is, that seems like a very bad thing to have happen right now, because who knows what he's liable to do. He held to his code of honor pretty well because he believed wholeheartedly that it was what he had to do. And now that it's just been proven that no, that was wrong, who the fuck knows what he's about to do? So, yeah, that's terrifying. Town coming to the Shattered Plains, it's like, okay, cool, we're getting some payoff with that. That'll be interesting. I did think it was a bit weird. It's like, we've got this random crazy guy. Take him straight to the king. Right after an assassination attempt, guys? You don't want to screen him first or anything?
Nah, he's probably fine.
Yeah. So, let's see how that plays out. Zahel, that was interesting. I know you put a challenge to us last episode about where he's from, and I think I might have it, but I don't know. I might save that for later in the episode.
Okay.
But yeah, the big one was Shallan's chapter this week, because holy shit, I was feeling a bit vindicated. I nailed some of my predictions apparently. So that was kind of cool. I no longer think that she's Yasna's contact from the prologue, but she's I got the whole, we organized the assassination attempt, right? So that was pretty cool. I was happy with that. But yeah, just what's the bandit leader who hated her? Is it Hathan?
Vatha?
Vatha. That's what am I thinking of? He seems pretty reasonably terrified of her now, and fair enough.
Yep, fair.
Yeah. So this is going to be interesting. And all right, let's they make it to the Shattered Plains, and word gets out of what's happened. And oh, I can't wait to see that. Adolin, here's your new wife. She's also a shard bearer. And Adolin's like, I could duel my wife? Oh my god.
It's everything I ever dreamed.
So big stuff.
Yes, you make a real good point about Seth, I think, just off the top there, is that Seth controlled is a terrifying tool. Seth unchained, who knows what that could lead to.
Yeah. It's like Django Unchained, but different.
Exactly.
Seth just was like, I like the way you die, boy.
I saw a random conversation about Django the other day where it was like, Will Smith turned down the lead role because he said violence begets violence.
Oh, yeah?
And somebody's like, dude, you've done a lot of violent movies. I don't... Also, you slapped Chris Rock, so what...
Yeah.
Yeah, to be fair, he did that long after Django.
True. Yeah. Maybe he had revised his stance on violence by that time.
Yeah, he's like, violence good. It can solve your problems.
People are allowed to change their minds. Yeah.
I guess. Yeah, that's true. Man, what a ride these chapters were. Am I right? I mean, the Shallan reveal, Shardblade bearer, pretty crazy. And I guess if we're to like believe that she actually got her Shardblade before her brother, because if she got it as a child, then that's like way before him when he came back with one. So very interesting. And so I don't really know like what that means going forward. It's kind of crazy that like all these people with these Spren, and then she has a Shardblade as well that we just didn't know about till now.
Mm-hmm.
All of the interludes were very topical for what's going on here and now in the story, which I feel like has not always been the case with these interludes. So I appreciated them. They're very, very like on point. I have no idea where the Sword Master's from. Could not take a guess. If he's like from a different planet, from like not Roshar, then I don't know.
Okay.
And then what else did we have? Town. I mean, look, we're gonna need some more information. I don't know that anything in that interlude chapter, really gives us any good knowledge nuggets for what's going on in the story. And then Kaladin surviving, obviously. He's one of the main characters, so if he fell off a building with Seth, I think it's pretty unlikely for us to think that he would not survive. But healing his hand was a surprise. I was surprised by that. So, and then I'm just excited to see what happens next. Like, I don't really have. I'm trying to come up with some theories this week after I read, and I'm just like, I don't know, but it's gonna be exciting.
Yeah, fair. It is nice. Like the thought of Kaladin losing his hand and not being able to use his spear anymore is kind of sad.
Mm-hmm.
He's so attached to the spear that it's nice that he was able to heal himself.
Yes.
And yeah, I mean, as far as Zahel goes, I was just because oh my gosh, Dak had the theory that he was from another planet, and so I was like, if anyone else wants to theorize this, then let's try to guess. So if you're like, I think he's from Roshar, then you're good. Just figure while we had a mystery person who Dak had theories about, we might pursue it.
Yeah, that's a tricky thing to walk down, because the fact that he's even throwing this out there, is it a hint that I'm right, or is it a deliberate mislead by Data? Sure, the listeners all know by now, but
it's just give us a little something extra to think of.
Data, why do you do it?
Because it's fun. That's why we do the show. And Joe's like, I don't know, maybe it's fun.
Yeah, sometimes. Other times it's a little infuriating.
Oh,
I'm just kidding. I'm fine.
Let's get started on these chapters. The first one is Burdens, and the epigraph here is. I wonder if you guys are going to be happy or sad to get away from these listener song epigraphs.
I've been enjoying them.
This one is from the listener song of Spren. It says, "But it is not impossible to blend their surges to ours in the end. It has been promised, and it can come. Or do we understand the sum? We question not if they can have us then, but if we dare to have them again." Which, all right, that's a lot of something. And we come back right where we left off in the previous section. Kaladin fell with the rain as he and Seth fall out of the tower. Elhokar's palace here is called the Pinnacle, so they fell out of there. And he's like holding on to Seth as they fall, because he's just tackled him out the window, if you recall. So, and as they're falling, he's like, man, I need some stormlight. And then he realizes this guy has spheres.
That was so cool.
So yeah, he sucks up some of the stormlight from Seth's pouch of spheres, just as Seth kicks him away, and Kaladin is thrown free, and he hits the ground hard. No preparation, no getting his feet beneath him, just like bam on the stones. And it's a good distance down from where he just was, but thanks to the stormlight, he comes through it. He'd broken his shoulder, he'd shredded the skin along his right side, but his right forearm and hand, they're still all gray and dead, and he's not happy about that. And over there, Seth, Also, getting his bearings, having hit the ground. And then he looks at Kaladin and starts speaking in a language Kaladin does not understand. He's like, it's got a lot of sh sounds in it, but that's all I can figure out. And Kaladin's thinking that he's got to get going before Seth has time to summon his shard blade again. Seth, on the other hand, is distracted by, he's like, did I lash you to the ground? Why didn't you die from falling?
People normally die when I do that. I will say there's a little note in here which I think has far bigger implications than it seems at first. It's like, so Seth doesn't have the blade, and right after he says, did I lash you, something I caught, it's like his eyes had darkened, losing their sapphire blue quality. And like, oh shit, that's big. That's big. That means like it's possible like if a dark eyes has a blade and then they, de-summon the blade or whatever the term is, they go back to being a dark eyes. So that's the whole question we've been talking about. Do dark eyes actually become light eyes when they have a blade?
Interesting. Yeah. I mean, I guess it doesn't say, it says his eyes darkened. It doesn't say that, I guess he is now a dark eyes. It could just be that they were glowing before and not now. Or it might be all the way to he becomes a dark eyes and he just dismissed it. It fell from his hand and disappeared like 10 seconds ago. So that's a fast change.
Yeah, but it's like he's Shin, so they might not have the same dark eyed, light eyed, disparity. But the fact that like his eyes, like we see his eyes actively changing when he's not holding the sword, it's like, oh holy shit, that's really important.
Yeah, it's a good catch. Okay, so after that, well, Seth is confused. Kaladin can like feel something. He's like, he feels the light working on him, and he like shoves it. It says he heaves it into his hand somehow, and suddenly like the color starts returning to that dead hand and his arm, and he can like light starts coming off. He can move it again, and Seth is like, no, like. Kaladin's like whatever he'd done had consumed most of his stormlight, but he's still glowing some because he's still got some stormlight in there. And he pulls his knife out, but his formerly dead hand is weak and like he's having trouble using it, so he has to put it in his other hand. He's like, okay, he's gonna take on the assassin in white with just like his side knife, his belt knife.
That's how he killed one guy.
Well, he killed that guy with like the spear tip, I think.
Oh, was it a spear tip? I thought he threw a knife through the visor.
Oh, he did. He killed a light eye, a regular light eyes on a horse with a knife.
Not a regular light eyes. He was a shard bearer.
No, he tried to get the shard bearer, but like he angled it. The angle just barely was off, and it bounced away. And then he got like the spear tip and killed the shard bearer with it. And so Seth is freaking out. What are you? And Kaladin goes, same thing you are, a windrunner. And Seth is like, no, you can't be. They told me I was a liar. They told me I was wrong. Seth's son Villano, truthless. They named me truthless.
Kaladin's like, you're clearly going through something right now. Do you need a minute?
Yeah, seriously. Like,
because if you're distracted, that's perfect stabbing time.
Yeah, I mean, do you want me to go or like I'm confused. Are you still gonna kill my charge or
my boss?
Yeah.
And like Kaladin steps forward as threateningly as he could manage, hoping his stormlight would last long enough to be imposing. He's like, this guy's freaking out about the stormlight, so hopefully I got enough to freak him out, to continue freaking him out. And Seth is like, are they back? Are they all back? And Kaladin has no idea what the fuck he's talking about, but he's just like, yes, because it seems like the thing to say.
If someone asks you if you're a god, you say yes.
Exactly. I went and saw that movie last night in a movie theater.
This sounds like something this guy doesn't want to hear. Let's just put him over the edge a little bit further, shall we?
Exactly. And it works because Seth just stares at him and then takes off. He flies off into the sky and is gone. And Kaladin is like, storms. And then the last of his light is gone and he collapses in a heap.
Can you imagine if like this is the last we see of Seth for like, most of the book. And then like towards the end of the book, we're just like, there's these weird reports coming out of Shin right now that like their entire ruling class was just slaughtered. And it's like, really? What's that about? I don't know. Just some dude in really disheveled robes came in screaming. It's like, you told me I was a liar, and just murdered them all. I'm like, that's kind of fucked up.
Seth has a score to settle. Would he intentionally take off the white at that point? He's like, I don't want to be the assassin in white anymore. I'm gonna be the assassin in the Technicolor Dreamcoat. It'll be great.
Interesting choice, but okay.
I thought about going black, but black's a lot of people assassinate people in black, so you
kind
need
of play
something
it
else.
out.
Yeah, exactly.
Didn't really
And then-
translate into the show, but like in the books for A Song of Ice and Fire for Game of Thrones, Roose Bolton's colors were black and pink. It's like you
Wow.
imagine that moment in the Red Wedding where like he kills Robb Stark. Like just imagine wearing like the biggest pink cape he can. That's what he was doing.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. It's not the most intimidating combo, I suppose.
Spoiler alert for Game of Thrones.
There's a red wedding. Some dude dies. We get a little. I don't know if you guys noticed the call back to the previous chapter where Syl pops up. She's like sleeping while you're supposed to be on guard duty. You can see that's what he was doing in the last chapter. But
He's like, this is not the time.
yeah, seriously, like Syl, that's a little bit insensitive.
Yeah, it's like you saw what just happened to me, right?
And he's like, oh, I healed a shard blade wound. Why didn't you tell me I could do that? And she's like, because I didn't know you could do it until you did it, silly.
Good. Sound logic there, Syl.
Yeah. And then she's like, oh, there are dead people up there. I see dead people. And Kaladin kind of like gets himself up, and he's not the most steady at this point, but also he has to walk around the base of the castle because he's on the wrong side from the door where he fell out. And he has to climb back up a ways. And then Mart of Bridge 4 is guarding the king's room up here. They're like, stop, you in the dark, identify yourself. And when Kaladin comes forward, we got Mart and Moash, and they are very excited that Kaladin is alive. And they get him into the king's quarters where it's all warm and light. And Dalinar's
Moash survived.
And I like the note that Eth, one of the bridgemen, is giving Dalinar like first aid because Kaladin has trained all of them in basic field medicine. And Dalinar's shocked, like, by the Almighty's 10th name, you're alive? And Adolin is like Dalinar is impressed. Adolin is more suspicious. He's like, what? How? You fell. I saw you fall.
It's not an unreasonable question.
Yeah. Kaladin thinks, he's like, I'm a surge binder. I use Stormlight, but he can't bring him. He feels like he could say it to Dalinar. He can't bring himself to say it in front of Elhokar and Adolin. And Kaladin's just like, yeah, man, I don't know. I mean, I had a good grip on him, and we fell out, and then we hit the ground, and I wasn't dead. And the king's just like, oh, yeah, I mean, you guys said that this guy could stick on to the ceiling, right? So, yeah, they probably just floated down. And Aelin's like, yeah, I guess.
Not how, for the most part, like, anytime Kaladin says anything, Elhokar's like, this makes sense. This guy's all right. Like, even now, it's like, yeah, he survived a 100-foot fall drop. Like, well, Aelin, why are you badgering the dude? You think he fell out of a window and he came back alive? Isn't that good enough?
It's like, that yeah. Whatever this guy says makes sense. Yeah, totally. Although, in the last
He's my
chapter,
bodyguard.
When Kaladin was like, we need to get you out of here, the king's like, what is this bull?
One time that happened.
Yeah. And I love the king. The king has a lot of confidence in Kaladin, just going on from that, because he's like, after you landed, did you kill him? And Kaladin's like, yeah, no.
Did not happen. He's like,
He ran off, though. I think he was surprised that we fought back as capably as we did. And Adolin's like, capably? We were like 3 children attacking a chasm fiend with sticks. I mean, mostly you were you sucked the most of anyone, Adolin. Let's be fair.
You got lashed real good, my friend.
He's probably feeling it because he was the only one who also had a shard blade, and he got taken out first.
Yep.
Yeah, it wasn't the advantage that he's been brought up to think it's going to be.
It was not.
He's like, oh yeah, like I had a shard blade, and the scrappy bridgeman with a spear is the one who actually stopped the assassination. Even
Dalinar, when he picked up a spear and accomplished some stuff, but mostly he got slapped around, to be fair.
Yeah, and he was the target too.
Yeah, that's a fair point. Just making it through alive as the target is already Dalinar's one better than anybody else we've seen.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. And the king's like, well, at least we were alerted. This bridgeman is a good bodyguard. You'll be commended, young man. I don't know if they have medals or what, but maybe Kaladin will get a bonus.
Yeah, he'll get a medal, unlike Chewbacca.
Here is a chasm feed head stuffed. You may mount it on your wall. Thanks.
Bye.
He looks at Dalinar. Do I have a wall I can put this on?
We'll get you a wall.
He has a room in the barracks. He's got like the captain's quarters or whatever in the barracks.
You want a wall, son? I'll get you 2 walls. You did so well.
You have to provide the ceiling and the other wall. But then Dalinar's like, how did you know? And Kaladin has to kind of make something up. He's like, I saw a light moving outside. And then Syl's grumpy about him lying. He's like, well, I'm not lying. I mean, I saw your light outside.
It's like, that is the thing I saw.
And here's where Dalinar's like, all those years I dismissed the stories the witnesses told about men walking on walls and people falling upside down. What is he? And Kaladin goes, death. And Dalinar just nods like, yeah, you're right.
Love how all these planets have their own like Grim Reapers. It's like
That's true.
they're gonna be a convention later. It's like Seth is gonna hang out with Marsh.
It could be buddies. It'll be great.
Yeah.
Will it be great?
Seth is like, how do you do that thing with your eyes? And Marshall's like, I don't want to talk about it.
Yeah, you don't want to know.
Marsh is like, how do you do that thing with the walls? All right.
No, touche.
And
It's
Navani-
magic. It's all magic.
Navani wants to know why is he back after all these years, and Elhokar's like, well, clearly to kill me. And so Dalinar has not told and does not seem to want Kaladin to mention that the king was not the target.
Smart move at this point.
Yeah, quite possibly.
Yeah, Elhokar already thinks people are out to get him. That's fine. We don't need to panic him by telling him that, anything different. It's just like, you just keep doing you, man. We got you out of the way. It's all fine. I think Navani will be pissed when she finds out.
Well, that he kept that from her, yeah.
Yeah.
If she finds out. If
It's
is
true.
good.
But there's probably also a political angle to it, like because they mention later they have to report all this to all the other High Lords. If the other High Lords hear that Seth is back and he's gunning for Elhokar, they're probably more likely to close ranks around him. Aside from Sadeas, who seems to be doing his thing, so anyone who reports to him will be. But like people will be like, let's defend Elhokar. If it comes out that he was after Dalinar and Dalinar's already on kind of rocky ground with a lot of the High Princes, they might be less inclined to get involved.
They might be like, let's kill him and send him, like, put him out, and then the assassin will leave the rest of us alone.
Yeah. Let's Batman that fool.
That's an interesting point, yeah. I hadn't thought about the political angle of it here, but that's true.
What? Data not thinking about the politics? What happened to you, man?
And
Damn.
so Kaladin tells everyone, hold on, stay here, I gotta go do something. Doesn't say what he's gonna go do. As Adolin notes in a moment, doesn't even ask permission from the king to leave. He's just like, acts like he can do whatever he wants.
He's had a rough day.
And so Adolin is a little bit grumpy and suspicious of Kaladin. We cut to his perspective. Like, storming man seemed to consider himself above Light Eyes. No, he seemed to consider himself above the king. And then he has to chide himself. Like, I mean, he did fight alongside you. And how many people do you know that would stand up against a shard bearer like that?
Yeah,
But
don't be suspicious.
Also, he's like, I could have sworn I saw his arm get cut, but it's fine. But if his arm didn't get cut, why is his sleeve missing? This is suspicious.
No, I said don't be suspicious.
And then he's like, I mean, he fought the assassin and they fell out a window, but now it turns out he's not wounded. Could it all be some ruse? This would be the most elaborate ruse of all time, I have to say.
Who jumps out a window just to prove their loyalty?
Well, it's like, if Kaladin was on the side of the assassin, he could have just helped him kill you. He didn't even need to help. He just needed to stand off to the side and let Seth do it. Like, what does he gain?
He could have just been like backhand into the wall and pretended to be unconscious for a bit.
Yeah. And so Adolin's just like, stop it. You're getting as paranoid as Elhokar.
It's true.
No easy thing, by the way.
Right. And then as Elhokar heads back to his bedroom, more numbers drawn in there. 38 days, Renarin reads off. The end of all nations. Well, that's bad.
Yeah, that doesn't sound good.
And so Kaladin goes off to find his men that have just been left in the hall. Beld's corpse is there, and he does not feel good about this. He's like, I saved them from Bridge 4 just for him to die here. Like, why didn't I just let them go? They've done enough. They've bled their share. I should banish them all.
It's not like he didn't give them a choice. They were free. They could have gone
Exactly.
if they wanted to. And also, it's just like saying, why did I bother saving someone to then have them die in 20 years? Like, yeah, he didn't get a massive amount of extra time out of it, but he died literally in direct service of the king. It's more noble than dying carrying a piece of wood that all the Light Eyes can carry over. Like,
Yeah.
definitely, and quicker probably than how he would have died there. Like, Kaladin, don't be so hard on yourself.
Jack, did you have anything you wanted to touch on?
Well, just like, how long's the body been sitting there?
We don't know how long Kaladin was unconscious, so
Yeah, and then he had to get back up to there as well. So it's like you have to assume a decent amount of time has passed, and like we've just left the body here.
well, apparently they mentioned in the last action that they cleared the palace of everybody else because Dalinar was afraid if the assassin came back, he would just start killing indiscriminately. So they got all the potential victims out of the way. So if the only people around were Elhokar and Adolin and Renarin and Dalinar, and they're worried the assassin might be about to come back, you're not going to go out into that dark hallway.
I assumed maybe like you got Moash and Marth and a few of the other crew still there. Like, one of them didn't go back to look for the bodies.
I
You
guess they're
expected
protecting the
Moash
king.
to do something good, Dak?
I can hope. I don't expect him to, but I can dream.
Dream.
Dak dreams about the day Moash is cool. It's okay.
What a dream.
I'm not hopeful that it'll ever
I
happen.
got it.
What a dream.
Dream to dream of Moash's bravery.
But Syl says basically what Jamie just says. Like, they made a choice. You can't take that from them. Like, he chose to be here. And he thinks back to his dad telling him, like, you have to learn when to care. You'll grow calluses. And he never had, not in the way that his dad wanted him to. And this is the interesting part to me, where he's like, Syl, that guy can do stuff I can't. Is it because I have more words to speak? And she says, well, there are more words. You're not ready for them yet, I don't think. Regardless, I think you could already do what he does with practice.
That's
So-
what I said.
So, Kaladin, there's more stuff out there. Some more cool stuff you could be doing, my man. And Kaladin says, how is he search binding? You said that the assassin had no spren. And she says, no honor spren would give that creature the means to slaughter as he does. And Kaladin makes the point that, like, protection is a matter of perspective. Like, she helps him kill Parshendi to protect his people, but to the Parshendi, he's the aggressor, and they're just trying to protect their own people. So,
Right.
And she doesn't have an answer to that. Like, she's the honor spren here, and she's just like, I don't know. But I do know that no other honor spren are doing what I'm doing. I'm the only one who disobeyed. And there's something different about his shard blade. It's very different. And Kyle's like, I don't know, look normal to me. She goes, no, I should know what is different about it. Something about the amount of light he was consuming.
They're trying to
And-
drop a hint here, and I am not picking it up.
I kind of got the sense, and maybe I'm wrong, but I kind of got the sense that he uses, just from what we've seen Kaladin do with the amount of Stormlight that he has, that he has to use more.
Mm.
That not Kaladin, Seth. Seth has
Seth,
to use
yeah.
more to get stuff done.
It's entirely possible, and that would fit with what she's saying. So, yeah, okay. He does use lots of light, but he also does lots of crazy shit. So, Kaladin, we haven't seen Kaladin go like this as all out as Seth normally does, where he's like sending people to the ceiling and shit. So,
That's a good point. Maybe he's using a larger amount only for that reason, but I don't know. It just seems like he's using a lot.
and so Kaladin moves on to find the other man that he sent ahead, Haber, and he finds his body and rolls him over, and the body is weeping. Haber is alive, and he's like, I'm sorry, Kaladin.
See, this is just fucking heartbreaking. This poor guy, like, in service of the king, has just been crippled, and he's just been left to lie there. And, all right, to your point, maybe no one came down and found him, but, like, what has he been thinking for the past however long it's been? He's just been lying there, like, wondering, am I going to die here in this hallway?
Yeah, in the dark. Like, it's horrible.
Yeah.
And Kaladin is excited. Like, Haber, you're alive. And then he notices, like, at mid-thigh, his legs have both been sliced through. His legs are dark and gray and dead. And Haber's just like, I didn't see him. He cut me down and then killed Beld. I listened to you fighting. I thought you'd all died. And he's like, I can't feel my legs. I'm no soldier anymore, sir. I'm useless now. And Kaladin's like, no, you're still Bridge 4. You will always be Bridge 4. We'll just have
Bridge
Rock teach you how to
4.
cook. How good are you with stew? And he's like, awful. I can burn broth. It's like, well, then you'll fit right in.
I feel you, man. I could burn water.
And Kaladin is going to pick him up and carry him back, and he can't do it. He has to put Haber back down, and Haber's like, no, it's all right. And Kaladin says, no, it's not. And he goes over to one of the lamps that's still lit on the wall and sucks up some stormlight so that he can carry Haber back to the others. Because that's what your captain does.
Sucks up some juice.
So, yes, it's nice that Haber's alive. I like that. But at the same time, this is a very sad, like, I guess you'd call it a bittersweet segment there.
Yeah,
And
like,
then-
it is heartbreaking. Hob is one of these characters I've never really paid attention to until now, but I'm just like, this is horrific. You deserved better.
you know, Haber, he was like the first guy to follow Kaladin and be like, yeah, I'm with you. And at least he's still around. Our last of these epigraphs for the last chapter of the section, from the Listener Song of Secrets' final stanza. Our gods were born splinters of a soul, of one who seeks to take control, destroys all lands that he beholds with spite. They are his spren, his gift, his price. But the night forms speak of future life, a challenged champion, a strife even he must requite. I don't understand all of that, but there's some interesting notes.
Splinters of a Soul sounds like something we know about, but then, like, of one who seeks to take control. Was that an Alcium, like, a conqueror. We don't really know anything about them.
Yeah.
Unless are they talking about Odium here and then the Spren splinters of him? Like it sounds like Odium's still alive. So does he just like chop parts of himself off to become Spren, or I don't know. This is very confusing to me.
Yeah, and even beyond that, it's our gods were born splinters of a soul of he who seeks to take control. They are his spren. So it sounds like you're saying our gods are his spren, his gift.
Yeah,
So,
but is that then just terminology? Like, are the shards spren of Outernails? Yeah, I don't know how to define any of this.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, from a perspective of Roshar, where spren of a thing is the norm, that's like what happens here. You might translate stuff like what happened at Analcium to be like these are his. Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, because like even Eshonai says like the Stormfather, like that's a big ass spren. I'm like, well, we thought that was a shard, but they could still be the same. We don't know.
It's true. The next chapter for today is Blossoms and Cake, which you guys pretty much called. I think everyone called that it would be a Shallan chapter probably because the previous Shallan chapter is when Blossoms and Cake gets said, so it kind of makes sense. High Prince Valum, which if you remember is the High Prince of Shallan's High Prince, where she lives, might be dead. The Span Reed says. Our informants are not certain. If he is, his bastard son is likely pretending that he is not. So, all right. Like after how you have to throw the that in there, you can't just be like his son, whatever.
I mean, that's probably a political thing. Like if he's an illegitimate son, he probably can't seize power in his father's name, so he's pretending his dad is alive, so he can just act.
Yeah.
In air quotes on his behalf.
He's a Jon Snow, you know. Although Jon Snow, spoiler, isn't actually a bastard. Depending on your definition.
Yeah.
He's not Ned Stark's bastard, at least.
That's correct.
That is true.
You are correct. Technically correct. The best kind of correct.
So Shallan has come to join Tin in her fancy tent, and she's wearing her oversized boots. And they set up the tent after the high storm, so it's still a little wet out. And Tin has begun having a conversation over her span reed to get information. And Shallan is sitting here thinking, like, her family was in all these debts, but, like, a huge war happening back home. Either that could make people demand debt repayment right now because they need the money, or in the chaos, their creditors might forget about them or get killed off or something. So who knows how this will go. And what about the Ghost Bloods? Would this make them more or less likely to want their Soulcaster back? And I like Tin is like, do you know any of these people personally? Because what's happening there might give us some opportunities. And Sean's like, nah, I'm not that important. And Tin's like, well, we might still head over that way. I mean, you know the culture. That'll be useful. War means desperation, and desperation is our mother's milk, kid. You know, we'll follow your lead on the plains, maybe pick up another member or two for our team, and then we'll head that way. Apparently, this is what Tin does. She takes somebody under her wing and puts together a team. And like Shallan's like, I think she just likes having someone around to impress.
Damn narcissists always need someone to feed their egos.
It's true.
And for someone so skilled, I think she'd be better at vetting people. Just the fact that she just is like, you're right. Wow. Okay.
Yeah, like Shallan was being honest about like who she was, and Tin was just like, oh man, you're like you can't fool me. I know what's really going on here. So Shallan is just bad at being honest. I don't know.
You can't fool me. I don't need to. You're fooling yourself.
Only I fool me. Nobody makes me bleed my own blood. Nobody.
It's also like we don't know who Shallan is really, and she's got many levels. She's complex.
Does she know who she is really? Who knows?
Anybody know who they are?
Oh, deep.
It's getting very deep.
Shallan, did you know?
You're my hero.
Shallans are like onions. Layers. Shallan has layers. Onions have layers.
People like parfaits.
Please let that be the graphics at this week's episode.
Shallan the onion or Shallan the parfait?
Either.
Shallan trying to pick one. She's like, I really want the parfait, and Patton goes, lies.
And so next, the span reed is writing. He's like, I asked around about those guys. Most of them are former members of the army of High Prince Sadeas. He is not forgiving of deserters. And Shallan's like, wait, what's this? And this is what Tin was implying earlier when she was like, you're going to have to do some things that you don't want to do. We have to do some messed up stuff. The Vatha is worth 4 emerald bromes, and the rest are worth 2 apiece. There's bounties. And Shallan's like, what? No, I promised these guys. And Tin's like, dude, shut up. You want them to overhear us? And Shallan says, no, we're not turning them in for money. I gave my word. And Tin's like, your word? Who the fuck are you? Like, no.
I've been trying to tell you that.
It's true. And Tin's like, you should be proud of what you did here, but we can't start believing the lies that we sell. When a good con woman dies, it's because she starts believing her own bull. And she finds something good and she wants to keep it going, and she just can't juggle it, and it falls apart. So
see, that's kind of funny, because that is kind of how she dies. She believes her own bull about Shallan.
Interesting point. That's true.
It's all part of the plan.
And she's like, you don't seriously think that you can get clemency for these guys? Like, even if you successfully get this thing going with Dalinar, you're going to use up all your credit to try to get him to free murderers from his political enemy? No.
I mean, Dalinar has plenty of experience freeing people from his enemy.
This is true. Yep. I mean, Tin doesn't necessarily know that, but yeah.
Yeah.
And then Tin's like, oh, here's some good news. As the span read keeps writing, it turns out that job that she was just on worked out okay. I mean, her team never came back, but the ship never showed up. So the Wind's Pleasure is reported lost with all hands. Yasna Kholin is dead. Also, apparently, yeah, there you go. Dak called it.
Yeah, nice one, Dak.
Yay, I got something right.
Apparently,
often.
They were after some information Yasna had as well, but it seems that they found that information elsewhere. Something about some city that they've been researching.
What does Kelsey want with the city?
Shallan is like,
I assume it's Urithiru.
Yeah, I mean, you would think, right? That's the city that Yasna had information about, so who knows at this point. Shallan's like, your mission was to assassinate Yasna Kholin? And Tin's like, yeah, I run the operation at least. I would have been there, but I can't stand ships. And Shallan is like trying to process this, but the span read is still writing. Like, you asked about House Devar. It looks like Yasna, before leaving Kharbranth, took on a new ward. Girl named Shallan, red hair, pale skin. Nobody knows much about her. Didn't seem important until we pried. And Tin's like, damnation.
Son of a bitch.
She tried to tell you.
Yeah. Shallan's just pulling out the biggest, well, I fucking told you so.
You didn't want to listen. I tried over and over. And so Tin makes a turn real quick. She grabs Shallan and slams her to the ground and puts her boot on the back of her neck, basically. And she's like, you're Kholin's ward. Where's Yasna? Did she live? And Shallan's like, help. But she can barely speak. And Tin says, yeah, I had my men clear the area. I was worried you'd alert the deserters that we were turning them in. Did Yasna live? And Shallan says, no. And then Yasna's voice comes from behind them. The ship, you may have noticed, has 2 very fine cabins, which I hired for us at no small expense. And Tin's like, what the? And, of course, it was Pattern repeating something that Yasna said once upon a time.
On your pattern.
Yeah, good job. And this whole thing is feeling familiar to Shallan as she's panicking and she's helpless. Days spent being impotent, her father's increasingly destructive violence, a family falling apart, powerless, can't run. She would not be powerless again. And so Tin is basically going to kill her. That's all there is to it, really. And I love she's like, oh, what a mess. Storm, I'm going to have to invite that Vatha guy here and find some way to blame this on him, as she pulls out her sword to kill Shallan. And Shallan manages to get some magic out. And very briefly, there's an image of Shallan standing like a proud woman. And Tin's like, well, what the? I guess I'm going crazy, huh? Hearing voices, seeing things. I guess part of me doesn't want to do this. I love how, like, she takes it in stride. She's hearing weird shit, seeing weird stuff. And she's like, I guess I'm going crazy. Oh, well.
I don't have time for crazy. You got shit to do.
Yeah. People go crazy, I guess.
Sometimes we must do things we don't like, kid. Difficult things. I'm sorry you have to learn the lesson this way. And then
Shallan just goes, she does the crocodile done thing. It's like, you call that a sword? This is a sword.
I see you've played Knifey Spoony before. Shallan holds out her hand, and all of a sudden there's a shard blade there, basically spearing Tin in the chest as it appears. Like, she didn't have to, like, swing it. And Tin is has time to gasp before her eyes burn out and she's dead. And Shallan's like, yeah, difficult things. I believe I told you. I've learned that lesson already. Thank you. So here we go. Shallan has a shard blade. Do you all remember previous times that you've predicted or guessed that maybe Shallan has a shard blade?
Nope.
I don't know that I ever predicted that.
It is absolutely something that we have said a couple of times over the course of these two books. All the way back to the first mention of something weird was after her first interview with Yasna, where Yasna basically tells her, like, go back, study some stuff, and then you can come back and apply again. So in that section, let me try to find it here.
I have no memory of us predicting that ever.
No, I didn't.
Neither.
I don't remember that.
So let's see. It says, as always, thinking of her father made her feel ill, and the pain started to constrict her chest. She raised her free hand to her head, suddenly overwhelmed by the weight of House Devar's situation, her part in it, and the secret she now carried, hidden 10 heartbeats away.
Oh, look at that.
And so I think
so
that's
obvious.
I mean, that could be anything. That could be like, I killed Dad. That was another big wham line we found out at the end. So it could, like,
Specifically the 10 heartbeats.
Yeah, the 10 heartbeats is what I was thinking.
Oh, I forgot about that bit. Yep.
And
I forgot that was relevant to the shard blades.
As I recall, at that point, someone was like, well, I don't know what that means. Does she have a shard blade or something? And that was the first time that it was touched on a little bit. It gets mentioned again after that night when Yasna takes her out and kills those 3 guys. Shallan, later on, when she's freaking out, she's like, remembers that she had a weapon that she could have used, and then she's like, but no, I can't use that. Never use that, or something like that. I don't remember the exact wording there, and I'm trying to find it, but it's not. But yeah, there's a vague mention of that there, and somebody at that point once again had a theory that maybe that meant something about Shallan secretly having a shard blade, but it wasn't anything that anybody ever gave too much thought to. It was just a couple of different times through the book, you got somebody has thrown out at various times, different people has thrown out like, that was a weird line. I wonder if that means like Shallan has a shard blade.
I do not remember any of us saying that. This is your proof right here, folks, that like we don't actually know. Like we don't even remember that we said that.
Yeah, no, I have no memory of us ever predicting this at all. Like, I was completely caught off guard when she had him. Just like,
yeah, me
what?
too. I was like,
So,
wait,
like,
what?
I even had a moment, it's like, did she just form it then? Has something happened and she somehow just magicked one out of thin air now? And like, it wasn't like I had to reread the chapter a couple times ago. No, actually, it seems like maybe she's had this for a while. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's just how much can come and go as we're digging through these chapters in such detail.
And often they're just like throwaway lines too. It's like, I don't know, maybe he has a shard blade or something. And we're like, oh, that's so funny. Like,
Yeah. I'm pretty sure the first time I said something about Rashek being the Lord Ruler was like a throwaway. I didn't actually believe it. I was just like, yeah, whatever. It could be this guy.
I mean, one of our best bits, like, that turned out to be true was Keen, the cooking pirate.
That's true. The pirate chef.
That was just a massive joke that we just kept coming back to because we found it funny. It turned out to be true.
Now, it's possible that I contributed to that returning a few times because I knew that it was true and wanted to make sure that the joke kept going for full effect when we got the reveal. But yes, you guys, it did start out as just like a joke that came back, and it was hilarious. Still is hilarious. Let's be fair.
It is a very fond memory of Elantris.
yeah, of all the things that could have been predicted accurately, that's the one that we hit the nail on the head. Okay. I mean, we've had a couple of good ones, but like that is not one I don't think anyone would have expected to be predicted.
Yeah.
I even sent Data a picture when I got to that bit in the book of like a photo of the page with a big red circle around the sentence that revealed it, and the message, "Are you fucking kidding me?" when I got to it in the book.
It's true. I finally found the line after the incident in the night with Shallan and Yasna and the thieves. It says, of course, there was one other aspect of that night that Shallan had to think of. She carried a concealed weapon that she hadn't used. She felt foolish for not even thinking of getting it out that night, but she wasn't accustomed to. And then her thought cuts off. So there you go. Just a couple little notes. I think there was also one. There's one at the very beginning of this book when the guys are like attacking the boat, and she like thinks like, oh, I could use that weapon. And then she's like, no, I can't do that. But so he has seeded little foreshadowing in there, and you guys even caught some of the foreshadowing. It's just, it didn't go all the way.
For the future, I would like to say that Shallan using the shard blade instead of making an entire boat disappear would have probably been a better idea.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, do I want to use this crazy magic to make the boat disappear, or do I just want to run my sword through some guys? Probably the second choice.
Can you imagine? So we're all very firmly in the camp that Yasna is not dead and she will come back at some point. I would love the conversation of Yasna and Shallan meeting back up, and by that point it's come out that Shallan has a blade, and Yasna's like, how long have you had that? The whole time. And Yasna goes, so you turn the boat to water rather than use that. And Shallan's going, I didn't think. And Yasna goes, obviously.
Yeah. That part is clear to me that you did not think.
Oh, okay. I found the part at the beginning of this book also, just because it was bugging me. I needed to find it. So they're breaking into Yasna's room, or maybe this one after they've killed Yasna and they're breaking into her room with an axe. Anyway, doesn't matter. So she's hiding. Yeah, they're breaking into her room. It says Shallan trembled, still numb. Yasna ... And then sword, a voice said. Pattern hanging on the wall beside her. The sword. And Shallan says, no, she screamed, hands to the side of her head, fingers in her hair. Nightmare. It was a nightmare. It couldn't be. And Pattern says, fight. And Shallan says, no. And then it says, Pattern said, sounding dissatisfied. Lies. So there you go. There's another little hint.
See, I thought that one was just referring to a sword that might have been sitting there. Like, grab the sword.
It's dangerous to go alone. Take this.
Oh, man.
Speaking of which, I bought the NES World Championship thing for Switch. It's pretty fun.
Oh, nice.
Just like a bunch of like mini challenges in these old NES games.
Yeah, I've seen that, and I was like, I don't know that I just want to do challenges. Like, I like the story in some of these.
Right, yeah, no, 100%. That part is true, but like the Mario ones are pretty satisfying because there's not much story to Mario.
Yeah, that's true.
At least the original games.
I want to save the princess. So as soon as Tin is dead, basically, the tent opens up, and there's Vatha and Gaz and her other soldiers with their weapons bloodied, and they see her holding this blade with this dead woman. And she kind of freaks out. She's like, she wants to get rid of it, but she can't. She thinks it was terrible. But instead, she shoves those emotions down, and she says, "Tin soldiers." Is that her voice? Completely cold, purged of emotion. And Vath, on the other hand, is like, that night when you pled with us, you could have killed us all and the bandits. You could have done it by yourself. And she said, "No, Tin's men."
Like, focus, damn it.
Yeah. Dead brightness, Red said. We heard a voice telling us to come and get you, and they wouldn't let us pass, and then we heard you screaming, and Vath is just like, was it the voice of the Almighty? And Sean's like, no, that was my friend, dude. Just chill.
They're proper spooked.
I mean, they have good reason to be, I guess. Weird voice. Like, Tin heard weird voices and saw weird stuff, and she's just like, I guess I'm going crazy, whatever. Vatha hears a weird voice, and he's like, what the hell is going on?
God?
Who do you want me to kill, God? Yes, okay.
I'll do it, I promise.
Was it Zoolander at one point? Like, early on, he's like at the massive low point in his life. His phone starts ringing. He's like, and the voice goes, Derek? God? God? What the fuck are you talking about? It's me, Maury.
And so, yeah, Shallan's just like, it's my friend. Search the tent. This woman was hired to assassinate me. And then thinks, I mean, it's true after a fashion. Like, she was hired to kill Yasna, but they would have gotten me in the process. So whatever. And she says, bring me anything you find with writing on it. And then she leaves, and she can just hear them, like, smashing stuff up behind her as she goes. It makes me think of that scene in Warbreaker where Denth and Tonkfa, like, completely destroy the house looking for hidden stuff. He's like, why did you break the front door? Well, it's a good place to hide stuff. You wouldn't expect it, would you?
Hooray.
Okay.
Lawful looting.
Do not speak of what you saw here to the others. And they're like, oh, we promise. Yeah, we won't. And she thinks they're going to talk about it, but I've done my best.
Don't talk to anyone about it, or I'll set God on you.
And she thinks you're alive because of that cursed thing. Stop complaining. And then she goes over to the span reed that was writing out all this stuff that nearly got her killed. And of course, the person on the other end of that has no idea what's going on this end. Your benefactors on this last job want to meet with you, the pen wrote. It seems that the Ghost Bloods have something else for you to do. Would you like me to arrange a meeting with them at the war camps? And Shallan is like, I mean, there's only one thing to say to that. And she writes back, yes. And that is the end of part 2.
Interesting.
So, yeah, I mean, considering the big battle with Seth, it's interesting. I mean, the dramatic ending to this part is Shallan is going to meet up with the Ghost Bloods. And we move into the epigraphs. They're all pretty short. But we start out, the Rider of Storms is Eshonai's perspective. And apparently it took a while for her to convince the 5 to send the messenger that she'd promised. And that's why it took so long. Because we heard Adolin saying, like, I'd given up hope that they were going to come. It took so long. But they've set up a meeting for 7 days from now on a neutral plateau.
I still can't believe they've just yada-yada'd over this, setting up the meeting.
Right?
Like, that's huge for the Alethi, and we're just like, oh yeah, we're not even going to see that interaction.
It's true. In the meantime, though, there's a storm. It's that same night, presumably, that we saw all this other stuff happening. Eshonai goes out into the storm to try out this new form. And we find out some interesting stuff about changing the form. We knew that you had to attract a certain spren, and now they figured out a way to trap the spren so they get the right one. But the transformation happens during the storm, but you're never sure when during the storm the moment of transformation will come. So you have to like be out there for the whole storm if you want to make sure you get it. It's not the safest way to do it, but there you go. And it says that some of them like will hide in a cleft in the rock or something. She likes the shield. She takes a shield out with her to protect herself from the rocks and stuff being hurled by the storm. And she's out there in the storm. Things are kind of crazy for a bit, but eventually she gets to that moment where everything sort of stops or vanishes, and all she sees is the Stormfather's face. The face was there, infinite, expansive. The humans spoke of the Stormfather, yet they never knew him as a listener did. And his voice says, "Is this really what you want?" And she's like, "Holy crap, the writer spoke to me." That happened in songs, but never like in real life. Also interesting about this one moment in the storm, like all of the different rhythms suddenly become the same. So they tune to these different rhythms to feel and talk in certain ways, but it's all the same rhythm in this moment. And so the spren that she's carrying starts to come out, but it gives off this red light, and she's like, "Oh, this doesn't seem right." And the Stormfather says, "I suppose this must be. It was going to happen." And Eshonai's like, no. And she's trying to like get rid of this spren, but it's too late. The tendrils of red are coming out at her. And he says, "I cannot stop this. I would shelter you, little one, if I were given that power. I'm sorry." And she changes, and that's the end of that chapter. So I don't know what you guys thought when we left it at that point, but it's a disturbing moment to end on.
Yeah.
And we move on to Zahel's epigraph. Someone was near. Zahel snaps awake, knowing instantly that someone was approaching his room. And he's like, "If this is another light-eyed brat that I turned away, coming here to beg, I'm too old for this. Too old for this shit."
Getting too old for this stuff.
Just as Kaladin is about to knock on his door, he tugs it open, and he thinks, "Oh, the air is wet. Oh, right, one of those storms had come, invested to the hilt and looking for a place to stick it all. Cursed things." I love that perspective on the high storm. Just looking for a place to shove all that power. And he sees it's Kaladin, that bridgeman turned bodyguard, the one with that spren that Zahel could always sense spinning about.
So interesting. He knows Syl is there, but he can't see her.
Yeah, he can just feel it somehow. And he's like, "Wow, you
That's
look like
kind of
death
what
itself.
Rock
What
does,
happened?"
right?
Sorry,
Like Rock knows that she's there.
Rock can
but
see
he
her.
Can't.
Rock
Well,
can see her.
I don't
Because he keeps trying to bow to her.
I thought when he first, well, that's because she shows herself to him eventually. But I thought when he first saw her, he just kind of like sensed her. He didn't like see her.
I believe he saw her even at the beginning, because one of the first interactions we have is like he sees her and starts saying some stuff, and then he realizes that she's not visible to other people. And he's like, "Oh, you don't want them to know. I'm sorry. My bad."
Okay.
He asks Kaladin what happened, and Kaladin says, "There was an attempt on the king's life not 2 hours ago. Is your offer to learn to fight a Shardblade still good?" And Zahel says, "No," and slams the door.
Angry man.
Yeah.
The boy pushed open the door, of course. Blasted monks saw themselves as property and couldn't own anything, so they figured they didn't need locks on the doors. And Calvin's like, please. And Zell's like, look, kid, 2 people live in this room. And Calvin's looking around like there's only 1 bed. The first one is a grouchy swordsman who has a soft spot for kids who are in over their head. He comes out by day. The other is a very, very grouchy swordsman who finds everything and everyone utterly contemptible. He comes out when some fool wakes him at a horrid hour of the night. I suggest you ask the first man. And Calvin's like, okay, I'll be back. And Zell says, good, and don't be green from the ground. Don't be, what? Stupid language, no proper metaphors at all. Just leave your attitude and come to learn. I hate beating up on people younger than me. It makes me feel like a bully.
So that is where my penny finally dropped. This guy's from Nalthus.
How does beating up on people younger than you?
The color thing. Don't be green from the ground.
Oh, okay. I was like, wait, what? Nalthus is the Warbreaker planet. Is that the one you mean?
Yeah. Like
Yeah, okay.
chromatic powers and everything. Everything was based around color. Makes sense that their metaphors would also be based around it. So yeah, I think this guy came from Warbreaker planet, and more to the point, you go back to the start of this, and he's like, I am way too old for this. I am really, really, really old. And motherfucker, are you a returned?
Huh. Interesting possibility. Okay.
Ooh, that'd be cool. Be even
Yeah.
cooler if he was Vasher, but I didn't see no Nightblade.
No, I don't think it's Vash. I mean,
Nightblood,
yeah, personality kind of fits, but yeah, no, he'd have Nightblood if it was Vasher. So I think maybe it's like, I don't remember Warbreaker that well. Was there ever any mention of one member of the Returned who, rather than giving up his breath or something, he just disappeared and never came back because, did this guy fall off the planet somehow and just like can't find his way back? So he's like, all right, well, I'm here now.
I don't remember a specific mention of a Returned like that, but I mean, we do know that Returned happened all over the world, and only like the one country saw them as gods. So what any other ones were doing, who knows?
Yeah, that's a good point. So, but yeah, like I think okay, so I think that's where he's from, and I think that's what he is. So
Interesting. Okay. If that's the case, then he would have to have a lot of breaths stored up because they need 1 a week to survive.
Oh, that's true.
Or else he's
Yeah.
found a way to get breaths or something on this planet.
good point. And he's clearly been here for a while because he's been training people long enough to have a rep. So yeah,
It's true.
Maybe he's the king.
The king?
This is
The
where
God King?
This is where Susabron has ended up.
Yeah.
Oh,
He's just
without
like,
Ciri.
well, Ciri wasn't a god king. She had to die eventually.
That's true. That's sad.
Sad but true.
yeah. He's really grumpy because he misses his wife.
Yeah, that would make me grumpy.
Yeah.
You guys are putting this sweet story onto just a grumpy old man.
If it was Susabron, he learned how to fight with the sword at some point, since apparently Zahel is an expert swordsman. But
He had a long time to learn.
yeah, he had a long time. He could have done it.
Grew a tongue so he could learn to speak.
That's
a good point.
no. He got a tongue. Like,
Oh, yeah, that's right. When
Lightsong
he
gave
came
up his
into his
life
power.
to heal him.
Yeah, he got a tongue. That's right.
Oh, I forgot that bit.
Because otherwise he couldn't use the power. You have to be able to speak.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so maybe.
We know that there was the one Returned who was an expert swordsman who Vasher killed and got turned into the lifeless Claude was his name.
The sex zombie, we know.
And then that guy's brother was another one of the 5 scholars who was still alive. It was like R. Steele and Yet Steele. So
That's right. Yeah.
Could be that guy, I guess, if it was one of them.
Sure.
The breaths are still a thing that you got to overcome. But.
Maybe it could be because like if this guy's like, oh, Vash is active in the world again, I need to get the fuck off this planet. So he just like, fuck it, I'm out. Just jumps backwards into the perpendicularity, both middle fingers raised.
Get my ass out of here. The very end of the chapter, the last paragraph or so, Zahel pulls up his blanket. Damn, Monk's only got one. Turned over on his cot. He expected a voice to speak in his mind as he drifted off. Of course, there wasn't one. Hadn't been one in years.
A voice to speak in his mind.
Oh.
This is what I thought maybe he was from. Oh my god, Mistborn. Where is that?
Scadrial.
Maybe he was able to speak to Harmony or something.
Oh. What if it's Zane?
Oh.
Zane loves having a voice in
Zane.
his head.
Oh, he's the worst.
I mean, we don't know. Like Zane went most of the book before we found out he had a spike in him that was letting him talk to God. So
True.
If Zahel has a spike in him somewhere, he might have just been like, I used to hear God all the time. That's a possibility too. And if he somehow pilfered a ready source of Adium, he could have done what Marsh did and kept himself alive longer. So that's also a possibility.
Yeah.
What if Zahel is Marsh?
I think the spikes in his face would be a giveaway if it was.
Somebody would have mentioned that bit. Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. Also, I don't
really
think
great
Marsh was
swordsman.
ever particularly good with a sword.
Yeah.
True.
He's been alive for hundreds of years. He could have spent a decade practicing at some point.
Yeah, I'm just picturing the first meeting between Kaladin and Zahel if it was Marsh. And it's like, there's a suspicious guy over there in the corner. He appears to have spikes in his face. That's kind of suspicious.
The weirdest piercings ever.
What are you, a light eyes or a dark eyes? And he just turns around. I'm iron eyes.
Iron beats light and dark.
Yep.
That's badass.
I will point out one other potential clue that struck me when I read this, looking for clues, like could this guy be from another place? With an eye for that, the very beginning of the chapter sticks out to me because the first line is someone was near. It doesn't say that he heard someone. It doesn't say that the lights moved weirdly and it woke him up. It says knowing instantly that someone was approaching his room, which
if you throw me, but I don't remember anywhere that was like.
If you will recall, one of the benefits of having extra breath was what is called life sense, where you could sense people around you. You could even tell when someone was like looking at you because Vivenna that happen a couple of times.
Oh yeah. And Vivenna felt all weird when she didn't have her breath because she was like, everything feels dead now.
Yeah.
Forgot about that one.
So, I mean, it definitely doesn't say that that's what it is. He could have been hearing someone and it's just phrased weird, but that's something that stuck out to me when I'm looking at it with like that sort of eye.
I like that. And he doesn't have to be returned to have a bunch of breaths.
No,
he could just have a bunch of breaths. And then
honestly,
because
you don't
he's
even
not
need
returned,
to be
then he's not going to lose the breaths. Like he'll just have them.
Yeah. You don't even need to be from Nalthus to have a bunch of breaths, probably. You could show up and buy them even if you were from a different planet. So.
Well, yeah, but would your body be able to take them physiologically? I don't understand how that would work. Like, the investiture is not in the planet, right? It's in the people. So, like, you would have to – I feel like you would have to be from that planet to be invested with the ability to use breath. But maybe I'm wrong about that.
That's an interesting point, yeah.
Because really the only type of investiture we see that's used – that is like anybody could use it. The caveat on that is because it's like not unfiltered, but like unpurposed investiture.
Unkeyed or something like that.
Yeah, unkeyed investiture is door from Elantris. So like that's not like it gets used in the Lost Metal. So it's like I don't feel like it could be. And then she ends up using the door actually to turn herself into an Elantrian with her stamps. So it's very strange, but.
That's a good point. Yeah, we don't know that much about how other planet people would interact on Nalthus, because we saw at least one person or two that we knew were world hoppers, but not in a way that was helpful in that sense. Like we didn't see Hoyd getting any breath.
That's true. Although we have like often thought he's going around gathering all these different like investiture types, but yeah, I don't know. Like, well, but I mean, I guess like. I don't know. We don't know enough because like if he's not, if Hoyd can somehow get breaths, and even though he's not from Nalthus, like I don't know how that would work.
He could have figured out a hack, I guess, but yeah, we don't know if he does have any. So
right, maybe just having another shard's power allows you to, because if you think about it from the Adonalsium standpoint, they're all pieces of one whole. So maybe anybody with investiture can use other investitures. I don't know.
Maybe.
Yeah. Anyway, the next one is Town. And Town's perspective is pretty fucked up, honestly. Of fires that burned and yet they were gone, of heat he could feel when others felt not, of screams, his own that nobody heard, of torture sublime, for life it meant. Like, I don't know what these sentences even are.
Yeah, it was very difficult for me to read this section. I got real confused.
But what we get as we continue reading is that a guy has brought Talon out to the Shattered Plains. Borden is his name. And he's showing Dalinar and Elhokar are both here, and they're seeing Talon, who is mumbling the same stuff over and over, more or less. At least that's what Borden says. He just keeps saying the same thing. And it's not always clear who's talking. The king or Dalinar says, and Wit, you mentioned him. And Wit started out the trip with Borden. On the second day, declared he needed a rock, which he hopped down, got a rock, hit himself on the head 3 or 4 times, and then came back and said, and he's like, I had this remembered for you. I wanted to get it just right. I needed an objective frame of reference by which to judge the experience of your company. Somewhere between 4 and 5 blows, I place it. I don't rightly understand what he meant, sir. I think he was mocking me.
I love that. It's like,
That's such a thing.
Oh, man.
like Elhokar's just like, oh, good. Even though he's run off, he's still on duty.
Yeah, right? He's like, I like him. And Dalinar's like, yes, we know Elhokar.
I was like, oh, God, not again.
And Borden's like, honestly, your majesty, I preferred the madman for company. Well, of course you did. If people liked to be around Wit, he wouldn't be much of a wit, would he?
That's a fair point.
And Elhokar's like, hey, madman, can you hear me? And Talon is saying, I am Talon Ilin, Herald of War. But apparently he's saying it really quietly because Elhokar's like, what was that? Speak up. And Dalinar says, I can make out some of it. It's a Lethi northern accent, which I would not have expected from someone with that dark a skin. But they're like, where did you get the shard blade? That's what Elhokar and Dalinar are here with the crazy guy, because the crazy guy had a shard blade, and this is of interest to them.
Yeah.
And Talon is here saying, like, stuff about the various heralds. Kalak will teach you to cast bronze if you've forgotten this. Fidel could train your surgeons. Yezreen will teach your leaders. So much is lost between returns. And they're like, how did you separate him from the shard blade? And he's like, oh, we didn't. He just dropped it. It didn't vanish? Okay, so he wasn't bonded to it. He couldn't have had it for long. And the guy's like, a dark-eyed man with a shard blade. Odd sight, that. And, like, Elhokar thinks, like, basically this guy's crazy. Some villager lost their mad father. And Dalinar's like, but what about the shard blade? And Elhokar's like, I mean, surely you don't think it's his. And Dalinar's like, I don't know. Weird shit's happening these days. I'm willing to consider anything. And Elhokar says, what will you do with the shard blade? And Dalinar says, I'm certain we can find a good use for it. In fact, something occurs to me right now. I may have need of you, Borden. And the chapter ends with, I think I'm late this time. How long had it been? That's repeated several times, and it ends with too long. So, yeah, that's weird.
Ominous.
Yeah. Is this one of those things where, like, the planet is in a cycle? It's Mass Effect, isn't it? It's like in a cycle of, like, death, and then they come back, and then they, like, rebuild civilization, and then civilization's destroyed again. It's like Halo and Mass Effect. It's like all that crap again.
I think the Matrix did that too, didn't it?
Yeah, the Matrix did do that.
Yeah. Is that what's going on here, Data? Is that what this planet's going on? It's like a cycle.
It's a cycle. A motorcycle. No, wait, that doesn't make sense.
That doesn't make sense.
Eshonai is the next chapter is Eshonai again. She's got her new form, her form of power, and among other things, like, she can get across chasms no problem now. Like, the wind just kind of carries her where she wants to go as she jumps.
Carry on my wayward Pashendi.
And as she comes back, she's like, I have returned from the storms. I bring with me the future of 2 peoples. And Thud, who we saw her talk to before she left, is like, Eshonai, your eyes, they're red. And she's like, yeah, a representation of what I've become. He's like, but in the songs, sister, come look what you have wrought.
Just skirt that uncomfortable topic.
Yep. Eshonai says, the winds obey me, and I can feel something building, a storm.
I can feel it coming in the air tonight.
That is kind of what she's saying, yeah.
Yeah. Just a lot of
She's like,
easy song choices here.
And now Venley on the drums.
He says she feels beyond the rhythms, a tempest brewing, a powerful, angry tempest. With enough of us bearing this form, we could bend the storms to our will and bring them down upon our enemies. And everyone's like, oh, wow, this sounds awesome. Cast aside despair and sing to the rhythm of joy. I have looked into the depths of the storm rider's eyes, and I have seen his betrayal. I've seen his intent to help the humans against us. But my sister has discovered salvation. And everyone is humming to the rhythm of awe as Eshonai glories in it, pointedly ignoring the voice deep within her that was screaming in horror. And that's the end of her section.
Oh, no.
Not horror.
So, yeah, some messed up shit.
Also, it's like, I don't think the Storm Rider was really about that. He seemed just kind of, I just make storms here. That's all I do.
Yeah, he wasn't like, I'm gonna help the humans kill you.
Yeah. He was just kind of like, oh, I can't really stop you from doing this. He was really Willy Wonka about it. He's like, no, stop, don't do that.
Yeah, the only time we've really seen him do anything, like aside from just make storms, like was when he spoke to Callan. It's like, hey, don't kill the Spren.
And I know you're going to.
Yeah, he was like,
That's
you're
what you
going
do.
to kill her, and I don't like you for it.
Yeah.
You're going to, but still, don't.
Don't do it. But you're going to.
You're gonna kill her and give her corpse to wicked men.
He's like, no, I would never. He's like, yeah, you will.
So the next page is Navani's notebook, a sketch of what must seem very strange when you first look at it, but then gets explained in this chapter. So
Yeah, I had no clue what the fuck this was.
I was like, what am I looking at here?
So this chapter, the multiplied strain of simultaneous infusion. The epigraph is a section from the book Words of Radiance, chapter 8, page 6. They also, when they had settled their rulings in the nature of each bond's placement, called the name of it the Nahel bond, with regard to its effect upon the souls of those caught in its grip. 10 surges, 2 for each order, so you can see that each order would by necessity share 1 surge with each of its neighbors. So it's a very dry description of something that I don't think we're quite fit to understand yet. And we cut to Adolin, who is practicing throwing his shard blade. So there's a trick to, like, when you let go of your shard blade, it doesn't just instantly disappear. You have to mentally command it to stay. And if you do that correctly, you can chuck it at somebody and hit them. And we've seen him do it, I think, at least once before, when he like shoved it into a rock and then used it to like jump up.
Right.
But today he's having trouble with it because he's still disturbed by what happened with Seth. He's wearing his plate now. In fact, he spent all night sitting outside his dad's room in his shard plate to make sure that the assassin didn't come back. And not that it maybe would have helped that much, because like Seth, he's thinking like Seth just messed me up. And he also notes like the 3 bridgemen guarding him. He's like, what are they going to do if the assassin in white comes up? Then again, Kaladin's a bridgeman and he was worth more than the attack than I was. So maybe I should shut my stupid mouth. But Kaladin, so Renarin has specifically told Adolin, you're being unfair to Kaladin. And he's like, yeah, but there's something weird about the dude. It's not just his attitude that, like, just by talking to you, he's doing you a favor, or the way he's always so gloomy about everything and angry at the world. He was unlikable, but Adolin knows lots of unlikable people. I like this description of Kaladin. Like, it's not wrong. I don't know that he's as unlikable as Adolin says, but
yeah, but it's like, from Adolin's perspective, you can sort of see it. We're sympathetic to Kaladin because we've seen inside his head so much. But you can sort of see Adolin's point, because like Kaladin doesn't like Light Eyes and he thinks Adolin is a shit. So of course Adolin's going to think this guy's like really rude and unpleasant. Yeah. So it's like I do love like when books that have multiple viewpoints do this sort of thing. Like they do it in A Song of Ice and Fire as well, because you spend so much of that book inside Jon Snow's head. Like you really come to like sympathize and respect him. And then you see him from like outside perspectives, and he's actually just a really grumpy, sullen dude. And it's like it's a really interesting counterpoint.
Well, yeah, and to that point, like he's talking about how Kaladin is always so gloomy, and it's like, I mean, yeah, he kind of is.
Yeah.
Still even calls him on that.
Yeah, it's like we understand why he's grumpy because we see inside his head. Adolin doesn't have that perspective.
Mm-hmm. But Adolin's like, it's not even all that. He's just strange on top of that, and I can't even explain why. And we know why, because he's hiding this very important thing for everyone. But to his credit, Adolin also is like, well, Kaladin's men are just doing their job. No use snapping at them about it. So he gives them a smile instead.
I do love that about Adolin. And so it's not the first time we've seen it happen, but like he's always like, look, whatever problems I have with Kaladin, his men are just men, and like they're doing their job and they're doing it well. So I will treat them good. And like, yeah, cool. I like that.
Yeah, we don't often see Adolin being unpleasant to people. Kaladin is probably the exception. Like, they have a weird thing going on. But to everyone else, he's a pretty nice guy, generally. Well, Sadius, but, you know.
Well, talking of someone whose head we see inside and it just makes us hate him even more.
That's true, yeah. But yes, so eventually he gets his mind under control and manages to throw his blade and have it stick in a rock. He's like, okay, here we go. So that way, the next time somebody sticks him to the ceiling, he can just throw his sword at them, and that'll show him. Which, to be fair, is not a technique I think we've seen anyone try on Seth. So
I think he would just dodge.
Only if he saw it coming.
yeah.
And
The plus side of doing it with a shard blade is you can throw it at a guy and then summon it back to yourself and throw it again.
Oh, I hadn't thought of that. That's true.
Yeah, it's gonna take you a couple, like a minute, but
10 heartbeats, yeah.
Yep.
And then he sees some guys soul casting, and he goes to talk to Kadash, the Ardent, who's kind of leading this party, and they're soul casting a windbreak, which that's cool. But we do also, I don't know if we've known this before, prolonged use of the soulcaster transforms the person using them. Their eyes sparkled like gemstones. The woman's skin had hardened to something like stone, smooth with fine cracks, as if they were a living statue.
Yeah, this is very, to me, and I know this is a newer game, so I don't think Data's played it, but to me, this is very reminiscent of Final Fantasy 16. Basically, if they use magic too much, their bodies eventually turn to stone.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, that does sound similar, actually. And so we found that they use soulcasters for making buildings, making food, removing waste. So it takes up a lot of time, and they're going to have to start working in shifts to not just do it at night. Because up till now, Aelin says, I thought you guys just soulcasted at night. They don't want anyone to see, so during the day they have like a tent up around them so that no one can just come over and watch the soul casting. After they start making this windbreak, it just kind of appears out of thin air, this big rock. And Kadash is like, even after all these years, this is incredible. If we needed proof of the Almighty's hand in our lives, here it is. And there's glory spreading going around him. And Adelin's like, the Radiance could soul cast, right? Kadash is like, I mean, that's what's written, yeah. And Adelin has to explain to him, like, I need information about this, about the stuff about magic, because the Assassin in White has come back and he can do weird shit. And could the Radiance do stuff like this, these things he could do? And Kadash is like, yeah, all that and more. I spoke with the soldiers who survived that first night. I thought that what they said was a result of trauma, but apparently it is not. Then we cut to Navani, who is doing an experiment. They have set up this platform that it takes us a while to get there, but essentially they're trying to invent like this floating platform.
Rasharan UFOs.
Oh yeah. I like that we have Rushu, who we've seen once before. She's like kind of the absent-minded Ardent, who, if you'll recall, I think we may have seen her for the first time. The first time the words appeared on the wall, and she was in here critiquing the like grammar of the writing on the wall.
Yeah, we were just like, you're kind of odd.
Yeah.
Sounds like we need to set up a meeting between the absent-minded scholar and the smiling obligator.
100%.
And so they're in the middle of this experiment, and Rushu's like, hey, did you ever wonder why the Almighty gave men beards and not women? Why do we think that long hair is feminine? Shouldn't more hair be masculine? And Navani's like, dude, focus. Like, we need to pay attention to the test. Oh, right. And Navani is thinking about the assassin, Stormfather. If he took Dalinar as he had Gavilar, so maybe they told her who the Stormfather is actually after, or the Stormfather, who the assassin is actually after.
Stormfather gets off his storm throne. It's like, I'm actually being malicious now.
You don't want that, probably.
No.
I could have read just as like Navani being like, oh, if I had lost him too.
Because he came close to it, yeah. Then Adolin shows up, and she's like, hopefully he knows better than to get too close. And they make the tower, this platform float. And so he's like, it's wobbling. And she's like, but it's not falling, so I'll settle for it. And Adolin's like, walks up here in his shard blade to the top of this viewing platform. And he's like, hey, is that platform flying? That's really odd, he says. Good on you, Adolin. So glad we have you here to notice these things.
I mean, he's already had a bit of experience with things floating.
True.
Considering the thing was him. So it's like, this is kind of old news now.
But she explains that it's a conjoined fabrial like a span reed. So with the span reed, you have this gem split into two parts, and the way one moves, the other one also moves. So it copies each other exactly. This is that same thing, but opposite, where if one gem moves, half of a gem moves down, the other half moves up. So they made a platform, they chucked a bunch of half gemstones in there, and then they put the other half gemstone somewhere else where they could move them down, and it made the platform move up.
King killer.
Yeah, kinda. But right now proximity is a problem. The further apart the pairs grow, the weaker the interaction, and it causes them to crack. So we got to overcome that to make this useful at distance. And Adelin's like, oh man, this would be awesome for archers. You put a bunch of archers up there and they can fire at people and nobody can knock over the thing that they're standing on. And Navani says that is not the most ambitious idea we have for this technique, not by a faint breeze or storm wind. But she will not get into it anymore right now. And she's like, I assume you're here to escort me to the meeting. Apparently there's a big meeting happening that Dalinar is running, and so they need to get to that. And Adolin takes a moment to be like, Aunt, have you been doing anything to encourage my father's advances between you two? Because like it's not appropriate. And Navani's like, encourage him? I practically had to seduce him. Your father is certainly stubborn.
This is the conversation that Adolin definitely does not want to be a part of.
Right? Yeah, no.
No. He's got his hands over his ears going, I don't need to hear this. Yuck.
Don't blame him. And Adelin's like, I mean, you realize that this is making things more difficult for him. He's using social pressure on the other high princes, but yet he's ignoring a similar thing. And she says, a bothersome tradition. And Adolin says, you seem content to ignore only the ones that you find bothersome while expecting us to follow all the others. And she's like, yeah, you haven't figured that out yet? And she's like, don't sulk. You're free from the casual for now. As Yasna has apparently decided to gallivant off someplace. He's like, I'm not sulking. Like, of course you aren't, dear. Come on, let's go to the palace so that we're not late for your father's meeting. And that's where we leave things this week.
I'm not pouting. You are.
You're pouting. So there we go. 7 chapters, and we're running real long today. There was a lot to talk about. What do you guys think? Where are we going from here? What's going to happen next? Let me read off we're doing 3 chapters for next week, so fewer chapters. The first one's called A New Woman. Chapter 37 is A Matter of Perspective, and chapter 38 is The Silent Storm. So incorporate those if you want. You don't have to. But what do you think? Where are we heading next?
A new woman has to be Shallan finally getting there. No, it's got to be. We've got to be so close to this now. Surely this is happening.
Yeah, they camped right outside, and we're going to come the next morning. So if she doesn't show up, something has gone very strangely wrong.
I mean, look, we understand that things have gone wrong and things might have changed, and she's now thinking about the welfare of those who have helped her but are effectively blacklisted from the Shattered Plains. So, yeah, look, I can see how maybe something's gone wrong, but I think Shallan has to show up now. Like, this has to happen now. Matter of perspective. This could be a Kaladin chapter. Maybe thinking more on sort of what he and Syl were talking about the honor spread and what they would give out, and they wouldn't. My perspective, the Jedi are evil situation. What was the last one? Sorry.
And the last one is The Silent Storm.
Silent Storm. Maybe this is an Eshonai thing. We've only seen really Eshonai in great detail in the interludes, but we know that we're expecting a meeting.
True.
So there could be, it could be an Eshonai Dalinar meeting, because we're expecting that to happen pretty soon also.
True.
And I feel like this is stuff that would sort of come early and apart, right? We've got to start building some stuff again, so makes sense. In terms of predictions, I don't really have a massive amount. I think really I was going to say that Shallan's shard blade, I was going to say she got it when she killed her father. Like, did he have a shard blade? Like, I don't
Nothing
really
we know of. But...
No, but I mean, we didn't know Shallan had one either, for sure.
Yeah, true.
So
yeah.
I'm not really certain of how that would all play out. That, or Shallan's killed someone else that she hasn't owned up to, which is very possible. I hope not, because I do like Shallan. Yeah, that's really all I've got though. I think I was expecting probably a bit more from this first chapter of the new part with Navani than we got. in like this. I think I was saying like this inner turmoil and feeling a lot of feelings at once, but really she was just scientist Navani,
Yeah.
which is really cool too. But I still there's a lot to happen there. We still have to have the news of Yasna's potential demise and all that sort of stuff being broken. So if Shallan makes it in this first or second chapter of what we're about to read, I think then perhaps we see turmoil or conflict, because for a lot of these characters, Yasna is a very important person, and they've got to factor in a lot of things there. Again, another assassination, well, not really an attempt, I guess, but an assassination on someone of the royal family. So yeah, there's a lot to unpack there coming. But yeah, no, I don't really have anything else other than that, unfortunately, today.
Yeah, it feels like Yasna's death is going to have to hit hard. Navani is her mom. Obviously, you expect that. Dalinar, for his part, in the last book, we've heard him several times saying that like Yasna was one of the people he trusted most in the world, basically. Like he wanted her back on the Shattered Plains ahead of anyone else because she was the person he could trust. So it does feel like that the news of her death is gonna hit hard when it comes. And Navani, as you've pointed out, Navani has that to potentially deal with on top of somebody trying to kill her son and or her boyfriend. So
yes, much going on for Navani.
We shall see. It would be insane if like you're talking about Shallan. There, she's right outside. If she doesn't come in and start that part of the story rolling soon, then like she could turn around and go a different direction. That would be nuts.
It's like all of a sudden she decided that Tin was onto something, and now she's going to be a con woman, and like that would be disappointment in a book for sure.
Oh God.
To be fair, she's already set up a meeting with the Ghost Bloods in the war camps, so she has to come in. I don't see how she could not.
True.
But yeah. Okay, so some stuff to look forward to. Got to get going before long.
Just now, I'm just imagining, they're having a memorial service for Shallan, not for Shallan, for Yasna. I keep doing that. Fuck. Memorial service for Yasna. And it's like Navani's obviously heartbroken. Elhokar, Dalinar, Aelin, Renarin, they're all just absolutely bereft. Then Amaram comes in just like crying. He's like, I really wanted to marry her. And Navani's like, would you fuck off already? Gotta co-op my grief here. I mean, it's like, whatever else the friendship Amaram has with Dalinar and the rest, they had to know Yasna hated him, right?
Wait, who?
Didn't Yasna hate Amaram?
Oh, Amaram. For some reason, I thought you said Dalinar. I was like, what? Okay.
No.
Dalinar.
Did I say Dalinar? My mistake. I meant Amaram.
Okay. That makes sense. Yeah.
Sorry, my bad. Okay, so as far as predictions go, I mean, yeah, like a new woman, Shallan. Whether that's Shallan feeling like a new woman or she's showing up on the Shadow Plains as a new woman, like from Aelin or whoever's perspective. Maybe that's it. It's like Aelin's perspective is like, this is a new woman for me.
I've gone through all of the ones in town already, so here we go.
Yeah. Perspective, same reasons that Jamie said. Like, I think that'd be Kaladin talking to Syl about perspectives and what have you. I have no idea on the third one. So, the only prediction I have at this point for what's going to pan out, I got two. Somehow I feel like whatever this countdown is that keeps appearing on the walls, I think when that hits 0, Talon is going to wake up. Like, that's when he's going to come out of his funk. Because maybe that's related to, whatever the heralds are constantly being sent back to do or whatever. It's like, here's the countdown. It's like he was trying to warn of it, but he was too exhausted, and then like something happens, some shift in the power changes, and that's what gives him the energy to get back up. Because like, I don't know how the heralds, how their physiology works, or where they draw their power from, what even their powers are, if they're the same as Radiance or they're different, or so. But yeah, like whatever happens at the end of that countdown, he's gonna get back up then. The other thing I had is obviously Eshonai is now. Something's very wrong. I think Odium might have some hooks in her because, like, I feel like red lights and red eyes. In the past, that was autonomy, but I don't know if autonomy's involved in this one because we've got a pretty clear indication that Odium is the big bad around here.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe just red eyes are the bad shards in general. Like Odium and autonomy just kind of share that deal. So yeah, let's say Odium's got his hooks in Eshonai. and Ash and I just set up a meeting with Dalinar. So that's about to go to shit. Yeah, whatever Ash and I was intending to do at that meeting is now going to go horribly, horribly wrong, and it's just going to lead to even worse war. So, yeah, maybe I think at this meeting someone's going to die, and I don't know who.
Let's also not forget that as far as the Alethi know, the Assassin in White works for the Parshendi.
Yep.
They just set up a meeting, and like the night after that, the assassin shows up again to try to kill the person the meeting is set up with. So that may be a bad look.
Yeah. So the relationship, we were really hoping the relationships between the Alethi and the Parshendi would finally start to improve, and that's definitely not happening now.
It does seem a little unlikely.
Yep.
Shame. A shame.
Yeah, that's all I got.
All right, fair enough. I mean, you already made some interesting predictions about Zahel as we went along, so you know.
Yeah, but that's also one of those things. I don't know if or when that's even going to pay off. Because So the thing I always go into my mind is when you guys were at the con and prior to the Lost Metal coming out, that was where Brandon said, he's thrown teasers in the books, which we've picked up on quite a few, but it wasn't until the Lost Metal that he said the gloves come off. So it's like, having read the Lost Metal, we know who the Ghost Bloods are and who their boss is, but I don't think that's going to come out until book 5, which drops later this year. I don't think any books published before Lost Metal are going to reveal, oh, by the way, Kelsier is in charge of the Ghost Bloods, or Zahel is what was his name, Yestiel or whoever, or just another returned, or I don't think we're going to get any explicit reveals like that in this series, because otherwise it wouldn't be the Lost Metal where the gloves come off. That would have happened previously. So yeah, I don't think we'll get payoffs like that for a while. So this is just one I'll have to stew on, like I did when I was like, I think Marsha's coming back, and it took us a while to find that out.
That was a bit of a slow burn on that one, but it did come. Yeah, you're right. Okay.
So I don't really know. I mean, I feel like I did this with the last book too. We just don't know so much, and we're still less than. I think we got to maybe 36 or 7% this time. There's just so much we don't know.
Yep.
And so, I mean, what I could say about the immediate chapters is I think I kind of agree with Jamie on who those perspectives are going to be. I really don't know what role Town is going to play. And I think that's the one probably I'm most unsure about, because obviously he's an important character, but like what is he going to do? Like, I just don't know what his role would be, except to be like, I told you not to touch the pink gorilla. You know what I mean? Like, he's just, he's there to be the guy who said, I told you so. Right. Like, I don't feel like there's much more of a role for him that would make a lot of sense. And so that to me is kind of one of those things where I'm like, well, I don't really know what Talon is going to do, or where he's even going to be at for the rest of this book. As far as Eshonai, yeah, I mean, I think it's pretty, I agree with Dak. I think it's pretty clear that just from the information that we have, it seems like there's probably several sets of Spren. At least from what we've read so far, I feel like there's got to be we know there's Spren from Honor because we've got Syl. And then other Spren that make up like these other things in the world, like they're all around as part of the planet, whatever. But like this power, it seemed to have come in the storm, or it was triggered by the storm, but directly from that Spren that Esh and I had. And so, when you hear red tendrils and red eyes, it doesn't sound like a super positive power. It sounds pretty evil.
Tendrils bad usually,
yeah, tendrils. I mean, look, we thought the Mist for a long time was an evil tentacle monster.
True.
Like, it doesn't sound good. And so I would have to guess that Odium is also like can use Spren to initiate his investiture, and is so doing with this form. And obviously there's some part of Eshonai trapped in horror at what she's doing and the way she's acting. So I guess in that sense, you could also say that Odium must have some harder control than the other shards do, because it honestly, it reminds me of like Ruin. It's like there's some part of her that like is screaming like, no, I shouldn't be doing this, but she can't not do it. She's being forced to it.
To like Marsh, yeah.
Yeah, and so I think that's kind of what we're seeing with Eshonai. So yeah, if they do still show up to the meeting, which like you pointed out, it's like I don't know if that would be a good idea, because the assassin just showed back up, and as far as they know, like the assassin was hired by them. So like I don't know if they're gonna show up to the meeting, but it obviously, I don't think Eshonai's there to parlay anymore. Like that's not that doesn't seem like a thing that's gonna happen at this point. Plus we've got the like little journal entries from Navani from the previous chapters telling us that like, yeah, the Parshendi are going to start doing some crazy stuff. So
that's true. Yeah, I'd forgotten that.
Yeah, so I feel like we're set up pretty well for knowing like, yeah, peace is not going to happen. And with that being said, like I do think Shallan's going to get there. I think she's going to keep that. I think she's going to keep the fact that she has a shard blade pretty close to the vest. Like her immediate like entourage is gonna know, but like she said that the word's gonna get out, but like I don't know. I just don't think it's gonna get out to certain folks. I think she's still gonna have that secret going for her. But you know, what would be really funny is like she comes to the Shattered Plains, gets in with Dalinar and company, and then like Gaz is running around with her, and Kaladin is gonna be like, "What the hell? I know that guy."
Guy who stole my money and the woman who stole my boots.
Yeah. It's like, I know both of you. And also, Gaz will probably be shocked to see Kaladin in the position he's in. He's like, what the hell happened when I left? So I don't have a lot this week. That's pretty much all I got. But I think there's definitely some interesting possibilities. I just don't know what parts each of these pieces is going to play yet. It's not falling into line with me. I wish there was like some secret bad guy mystery, but there really isn't at this point.
Or is there?
I mean, if there is, that'd be pretty sweet. But I mean, secret bad guy was last book. I feel like there were 2 secret bad guys.
It's true.
Last book, so we got our fill of secret bad guys. But
I mean, Dak's still on the Moash is evil at some point. So.
Sure, but is he a secret bad guy or is he just evil? I feel like there's a difference, right? There's a difference between being a prat and like being a secret bad guy.
Yeah. Okay.
True.
Fair.
Turns out Moash was Odium the whole time.
Whoa. See, now that would be a twist.
Yeah.
Now in our next reading section, you're gonna have me looking out for like, does anybody look like they could be a secret bad guy?
Yeah. Dak, that was the kind of volcano theory that we were missing in this book.
Yeah, right.
Moash is Odium.
He finally just reveals himself. It's like, I will destroy this planet. And Kaladin's like, dude, why the fuck were you carrying bridges? Hey, I like to work out.
Yeah.
You know?
It's like, what were you doing? He's like, I wanted to walk a mile in your shoes. Having done so, I want to kill you even more.
Can you imagine that Kelsier rocks up and like gets the whole story, and he hears like and he's talking to Kaladin, and it's like, wait a minute, you punched that god before I had a chance to? Because like that's basically how Kaladin and Moash met.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's like, dude, that's my thing. I'm the god puncher. Kelsi, god puncher, whatever my last name is.
I don't think he had a last name.
And Kaladin's like, yeah, well, get in line. I punched him first. Like, aw. Because Kaladin would absolutely get pissy about that.
Yeah. I mean, Kelsier and Marsh probably had a last name at some point. Whoever their noble dad was had a name.
Oh, that's true. And they were raised as like nobles. So yeah, maybe you're right. Speaking of secret bad guys, though, you know who has not appeared at all this book is the secret bad guy reveal from the end of the last book.
Taravangian.
Yeah. What is he getting up to?
Oh, he's probably still
just... You want me to just guess? I don't know.
he's just sitting in his blood bank, draining corpses. Like, no one's in Kharbranth, so he can't really, unless we were to see inside his head or one of his nurses, we probably wouldn't get a chance to go to him.
That's true.
Like, unless he just shows up on the Shattered Plains, like, I'm here. It's like, you're not even from our country. Why are you taking part in this war?
I'm here too.
Well, he sent Seth after Dalinar, right?
That's true. Yeah.
You know, we still know he's kind of got a hand in, but maybe Seth's breakdown will lead him back to Taravangian, and then we see what's going on.
Good choice.
Tragic news out of Carbranth today when King Taravantian's hospital palace was burned to the ground.
I mean, Caravantian's not the one who set Seth on like his overall path, right? Like he's
I
No.
know of, at least, yeah.
he just has his like command stone or whatever it is.
Yeah.
So
But Seth was pretty sickened by what Taravantian was telling him to do.
yes,
True. All right. So some interesting ideas from our crew. Let us move into. We have one new patron this week. A new patron at the Shard of Adonalsium level.
Ooh.
And it is Jay.
Oh, well, Jay, you're a skimmer. Because I like skimmers. It's fun.
Not Jay, a.k.a. the letter J, but just Jay. Thank you, Jay. You're awesome. If you guys want to have Joe assign you a faring power, then check out our Patreon, where I post my first reactions to various random things as I'm reading them. And I have a couple that need to go. Nothing's gone up in the last week or two because I haven't had time to edit it, but I got a couple that need editing that are going to go up. So stay tuned there if you guys want to hear that. We got a few emails, but I'm just going to hit one today, I think, and we'll save another couple for next time. And this one is actually basically a review. They're sending us the review that they sent. So I'd forgotten that part. So, Joe, get Mr. Powers.
You do this every time. You do this to me all the time.
This one is from Chris, and it says, "Thanks, guys. I had a hard time finding where I could leave a great review for you. Spotify let me do a 5-star with no description. I just joined your Discord and left you a review on Facebook." And then Chris sends us his review on Facebook. "I just want to say this podcast is simply the best. The crew has great chemistry and keeps my commute to and from work entertaining. Thanks so much for all your hard work. I'm only on episode 115, but have been reading everything with you as a first-time reader. Thanks again, Chris."
Hey, Chris, you're a slider. You slid right in there with that beautiful review.
You got almost like another 100 episodes to go to make it to us, Chris. But
Right.
when you do, this will be
You'll
waiting
know.
for you.
Yeah.
We'll join the ranks of people who have emailed us, and then like a year or two later, it's gone, "Hey, it's me."
Yeah.
I know me.
Uh,
All right. Let's wrap this up. People can go do their. I was about to say people can go home. We're already at home. People can go do stuff. Yeah, that's what we have another couple of emails we'll save for next time. If you want to send us an email, the address is thesanderlanche@gmail.com. Find us on Instagram and X and Facebook and places like that. I already talked about the Patreon. So check that stuff out if you're interested. Like I said, we are doing 3 more chapters for next time. That's chapters 36, 37, and 38. So if you're following along, 3 more chapters. Music by Miracle of Sound and Wasing to the Time of Next. Colo, P.S. Fasher. Crab at thee.
You forgot your name. Don't let your spirit fade away. Amnesia, you've been through such pain, but you're growing stronger every day. Amnesia.